let's talk about love, unconditional love. By unconditional love, we mean being in love with everything and everyone. Not in a relationship level, of course that too, but I'm talking about, think about walking on the street and feeling so good that you feel kind of a bit of a high, that you feel like you're in love with life. You're in love with being who you are, being where you are, and doing what you're doing. It just feels like life is perfect the way it is. Being in love with life. Like you're thrilled to be alive, like a kid on Christmas Eve. Everything feels exciting. Well, that's actually our natural state. That is possible for you, for me, for everyone, to be constantly experiencing that. So let's talk about a little more closely what we mean by unconditional love. If you think about that experience, that special experience of being, some people would call it being excited, being very happy, being joyful, being content, peaceful, whatever the word you choose, just try to remember how that experience, how that feels. And if you try to recall one moment where you felt that profoundly, you will realize that actually it was just experiencing. You weren't stimulating yourself with anything. You may have been with a company, some people in some beautiful place, why not? But chances are that many times everything wasn't just perfect. Many of the most beautiful moments of your life have probably happened in a regular day, unexpected, just coming like out of nowhere. It's a bit frustrating to recognize that, but it's empowering to be honest with yourself and realize, okay, I may not have found the way to understand. And so let's go back to experiencing what I call unlimited love, which is just being in love with life, loving being here now, being things as they are. As a topic as it may sound, it's a natural condition when we stop doing certain things. So first thing, that state is a state of pure, direct, unfiltered perception with a non-located experiencer, if you could say that. So things still happening. Think about maybe you did sports or you were just having fun. At some point, kind of you lose yourself in the activity. That's what I'm talking about. To some extent, you know what I mean, for sure. In that moment, you were just there. You were just experiencing. If you try to find what was so special about it, our brain many times say, hey, it was this person, it was this moment, it was the things where... But many times, if you're really honest with yourself, you realize that it wasn't really the case. It just happened spontaneously. And if you try to, as a scientist, go back to the moment and reverse engineer what was happening, what you will notice is that you were having some sort of like a clear perception experience. Like you were just there. There was nothing in your head. It's not that, of course, there was some thoughts. You were maybe having a conversation, but there was something, an absence of a tension, an absence of a suffering, and suddenly everything seemed to be perfect. And our mind cannot find what that is. That's why it's so frustrating, so impossible to try to find goals in the future that will make us happy. It's just ultimately not going to work, because this state of happiness is natural already in us here. So first thing, really find that enlightenment, that grandiose experience as this moment. As magical and ordinary / extraordinary as this moment. So the question is, okay, I'm here now. Why I'm not feeling the same transcendental experience I was feeling that day? Well, if you get to research on your personal experience that, but also read books about it, you will realize that mostly we have some software, some involuntary activities in our mind happening, and they are distracting us all the time. It's like traumatic, micro traumatic experiences through life where we don't understand what death is. We don't understand why you lose someone you love. You don't understand why you're sick. There's a lot of mini traumas, and all these kind of accumulate and build up a certain kind of momentum, and that momentum gains through time. So that is distracting us. So if you sit to meditate, for example, most people have a really hard time because the first thing when you just stop and sit and don't do anything, you start sensing yourself. You start noticing this background, uncomfortable background, and we cannot avoid it. So the day that we are tired of running away and we just realize that there is no escape from ourselves, doesn't matter how far you go, you're still being you. Even when you get rid of all the things you don't like in your life and you move to a different country, you will still find yourself one day, one night. It will come back, the whole thing. So it doesn't have to be like that if we face ourselves in this moment. And by that I mean just feeling this. Just notice. Relax your mind. Relax your intention to understand even what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Relax your defensiveness, your survival software. Just for a second, try to see if you can reach a bit of a glimpse of pure perception. Unfiltered, sensing this moment with your body, your breath, the sounds, all the images. Sometimes that will work like that, and that's beautiful. But most of the time, most people, after a few seconds, you will feel distracted again. And that's where the old classical meditation exercises come very, very handy. I strongly suggest you that unless you are able to relax your mind into one object for, I'm just going to throw an estimate, but something at least like 20 minutes, half an hour, seems a lot, but it's absolutely possible. Then when you do that, your mind is undistracted, then this experience of feeling excited to be alive, it becomes natural. It's not something you're doing. You notice something was happening in the background of your mind that you didn't notice, but that activity was blocking your natural, loving experience of this moment. So a bit of gymnastics, attention gymnastics. And by gymnastics, actually, that's a really bad word. I mean relaxation. It seems like gymnastics because you're, let's say, focusing a dot, a sound, a sensation, your breath, whatever. And you have to come back to it. And you heard this before, I'm pretty sure. But have you done it? Have you done it for real? Because that's normally the case. That when we are not happy, it's because we are distracted. So just cutting down your distractions with going back to the object will help you relax to some extent. It will take you training. This is not a easy solution. If you have tried this before, you know this is not a quick fix. But still, it's real. That's exactly why I'm here. And many people go out and say, hey guys, this is real. This is real. That love you feel, or you felt, or you remember, it was real. It was real. What is an illusion is this whole mess we call normal life. So the way we go back to it is first stabilize your attention. And you're able to, by relaxation, by means of relaxation, not forcing concentration. It's a release of activity. Concentration is like hard working hard to keep your attention forced against distractions. That's definitely not the way. It may help for 1 minute, but after that, you're going to start being exhausted. So it's more like relaxation, like being patient with a kid. Just go back to it. Just go back to it. And your mind will clear up. And when you get there, then you're probably ready to go to a more open sense of observation. You feel that you could sort of hold that sense of stability to everything that happens at the same time, like an open field. But it's stable, it's clear, it's pure, it's moment by moment. Your mind is so relaxed that everything's just natural. But that's still kind of an activity, and it's really, really okay that to happen when you sit to meditate. But as you know, you're going to be, most of your life, you're going to be not meditating. So that's not going to become a permanent solution, as good as it feels already. You're going to need to go to the next step and let your attention flow freely. Because right now, your attention is anyways free styling on your surroundings. And let that happen. But what before was a distraction, once your attention is pure enough, you can let your mind move and you can follow it. So what is a distraction if it's not distracting you from anything? Your minds distract you and you go back to it. You're distracted by an idea and then just follow that idea. Then it's not a distraction anymore. You are following the thought. But the thought, if you are intensively, that's what I insist on cultivating a pure attention before. If your attention is pure enough, the thought would kind of loses its own energy. So it doesn't become a distraction. So at some point you notice that you can be, there's nothing that can stop you from being aware all the time. It sounds simple, but I don't know anyone, not even the teachers who apparently say there's nothing to do, because every time you try, you are preventing yourself from relaxing deep enough to perceive unfiltered. Even then, they did a lot of work. I think it's important to bring that up. But it can be done, and properly done, guided by a teacher, you will do it way quicker than you think. But doing without guidance, that's the reason why I do these videos and all, because I'm tired of hearing people meditating for a long time and not getting any results. Or people saying, yeah, I know what meditation is. Yeah, it didn't work for me. I'm pretty sure they didn't do it right. And if you start talking to them, you realize that they didn't have any criteria, any quality of any feedback, any proper reliable feedback. That's why a teacher helps you figure out, oh no, you're lost in there. You're thinking. You're filtering that. You just don't notice. But anyway, if you're honest, you don't need anything or anyone. You can just do it right now. And if you got that far, if you got this far in this video, you probably some way are aware of what I'm talking about. So thank you for making me company. And I hope you nurture this constant flow of attention so profoundly in your life that every moment goes smooth. From tranquility to peace, to more peace, to joy, and to love. Because that's what is underneath everything.